Oh, look at that. Welcome back. cBas After Dark, episode 2. Nobody's here except for me, but that's okay. Some people did tune in throughout the evening last night. So we're going to proceed as though people are watching. And even if you're not watching live, you may be watching us later. I have new Google Plus notifications. I think that's my own thing. I don't think I properly tweeted the link to this. So before I go any further, just give me 2 seconds to go ahead and hit copy there and then go to my Twitter. And I don't want to go to the Twitter. I want to go to the Facebook is what I want to go to. And I want to mention not on my page, but on my page, right post. Working link. Okay. And now that I've done that, let me get to my little list of things to talk about. I don't really like relying on the list of things to talk about. I sort of like it to be a more free-form experience, if at all possible. That said, it takes a little bit of planning to try and actually do any kind of organized show that's not just rambling. I was rambling last night, I feel like, a little bit, but hopefully I'll be able to hone this. It's a brand new thing. I'm still figuring out the software. Thank you for giving me a break. If I could only find myself again. There I am. Okay. I'm not wild about the lighting in here. Like, I feel like it's not particularly flattering, but hopefully that will do for now. The things I wanted to talk about, Philip Perea is the name of a guy you've never probably heard of. Even the savvy news people may barely be aware of the story. A guy killed himself in front of the Fox News headquarters, News Corp, in New York. I'm online live, but go to sleep. My friend is texting me. I keep hoping she'll be awake one night and will be able to join me here actually in the hangout, the video hangout. I believe other people can join in with video. Oh, well, she says she wants to try from her phone. Let me just share with her the link really fast. If you will give me another second. I know nobody's here live, but I do want to see it sort of see. Let's see here. I should be able to give her that, and she should be able to view live. So now back to my actual talking and trying to be impressive and organized as far as some kind of show or relevant discussion of topics. Okay. Creepy technology I wanted to talk about. The funky input devices. There is a new keyboard that is like a smooth tablet kind of a thing. But then when you hit a thing on the back, like these little squares form. It's like something rises, like some gel fills this cavity that is supposedly almost invisible when it's not there. But then you could push it and these little buttons kind of pop out and it's more tactile. I thought that was really freaky. The baby 3D sonogram. Have you seen this? I should say fetus 3D sonogram thing. I believe it's happening in Europe. I want to talk about that. There was another thing in the creepy technology category, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Jupiter Ascending. It's a movie I saw not long ago, and it's actually 2 days ago now. And I give it a B-. I'll give you that right now. But as far as what I liked, what I didn't like, I'll try and talk about that coming up. Let's look at the news before we go any further. Sun News Network to shut down, according to sources. What the hell's the Sun News Network, you say? This is from my friend Chris. It's Fox News Channel in Canada. Sun News Network will be shutting down early Friday. That is essentially coming up here in the next few hours from when this is being broadcast live. The network began broadcasting in 2011, so they're fairly new. Right-wing programming schedule has had a constant challenge attracting viewers in Canada. Isn't that interesting? Fox News in the United States, I believe, is the #1 cable news network. The federal broadcast regulator denied Sun News a guaranteed spot on basic cable packages in Canada on August of 2013. Data released as part of that application showed while the network was available to 5.1 million households, it was attracting only on average 8,000 viewers at any given time. Looks like I'm getting a photo from my friend Sarah, who doesn't look like she's able to view, although it now looks like I have one viewer. So if she gives it a little time, let's see here. Is it going to start? Question mark. I always wonder, exactly if I'm doing it right here or not. The thing I wanted to add in the bottom, which is still something I want to add, cBas After Dark. That feature is disabled. Let's try and do this. Text in the corner, not Comic Sans, but we'll say impact. It will be okay. And we'll put it right down here, I guess. Oh, I don't want it to be attached to my face. No, I just want it to be here. If that is all right with you. There we go. cBas After Dark. It just says stand by, according to my friend Sarah Bell. Maybe she's able to hear me. I don't know. Maybe I've sent her the wrong link. I don't know. Let me try again. Let's see here. Event page. Copy. And then let's give that to her. Try that. Maybe she'll be able to see me. Maybe she won't. In fact, let me click on it myself and see if it's working, because this was actually an interesting topic last night, whether or not I was actually broadcasting. But sort of, let's circle back for a second to why I even care about doing this podcast, as ridiculous as it seems, just kind of rambling and discussion. I always liked late night radio shows. Art Bell especially, he was a little bit on the kooky side for me, and so is his subsequent George Noory, the late night coast to coast aliens and government conspiracy, talk radio guy. Art Bell, I felt like, was doing kind of an art form, if you will, but it was just interesting to me that I would always like listening to the radio late at night, hearing live callers especially, and just sort of this kind of discussion on talk radio about some weird topic. I always thought live conversation at night was especially intriguing on the radio, or certainly, on like shortwave radio, other mediums too. Like even, people like to chat late on the internet. That's kind of why I thought doing this show, 11 p.m. to midnight Mountain Time, would be interesting. It's the 1 o'clock hour in the East Coast. It's the 10 o'clock hour in the Pacific time zone. And I think it's like 7 in the morning or something, GMT, maybe 6 a.m. At any rate, let's see here. Sebastian is going. It doesn't let me view the thing here. Let me try this other link. See if I can view it myself. But yes, I did want to talk about some of the other things that I'm going to be talking about. I was starting to tell you about the Sun News Network, the conservative Fox News channel in Canada shutting down. Supporters blame the cable sort of regulators, broadcasting regulators in Canada, for not giving this conservative channel the same access enjoyed by regular news channels, or I should say actual news channels, CTV and CBC. CBC said it had 8 times as many viewers as Sun News. When it was launched, pundits dubbed it Fox News North. It's got about 200 people working at it, and it's going to be going away. I thought that was really interesting. Another news story, I thought, gay couples are wedding now in previously reluctant Alabama County. That was from the Associated Press today. And by the way, if you ever wanted to call me, if you happen to be watching, 310 is the area code, 776-5869, 310-776-COONS, if you want to speak to Sebastian Coons. The federal judge who overturned Alabama's gay marriage ban has now ordered a reluctant county to start issuing those marriage licenses to same-sex couples. About an hour after the U.S. District Judge ruled, Mobile County opened up marriage license offices and started granting those documents to gay couples. Advocates say they hoped the order would smooth an uneven legal landscape where gay couples have been able to marry in some Alabama counties and not others. It was not immediately clear what other judges would do. At least 23 of the 67 counties in Alabama are issuing marriage licenses to gay couples. But there are gay couples that are super excited in Alabama. I have sort of been jaded about this topic. I'm a gay guy, but I didn't really care about the Alabama. It's like, if you want to be gay, move out of there. Get someplace, at least moderately civilized. I feel that way about the people who live in these snow-driven areas too. The Canada, yet another blizzards to the level of, they're now at Neptune. Storm Neptune is going to be hitting and burying the northeast and southeastern Canada. Tons of snow yet again in the next few days. It's like, I would thought people would but people have the right to live where they want, I guess, if you're willing to tolerate what it's like there. But fortunately, this is sort of the civil liberty topic of our day. And I feel like, trying to resist gay marriage as a judge in a county somewhere is kind of like standing on train tracks, doing this with your hands and hoping to stop the oncoming freight train. There's just, you're going to lose. 81% of the people voted for a constitutional amendment saying marriage is between one man and one woman. They said of a 2006 vote for a gay marriage ban in Alabama. So they had kind of what California had for a while there, until it was sort of, thrown out in court. Okay, telling my friend to go to sleep. Go to sleep. Good night. Interesting. But yeah, I think that's really interesting that the gay couples are getting married. I guess, if it's going to happen in Alabama, there ain't no place it's not going to happen, right? Does the Uber ride-sharing service reduce drunk driving? They think so, and they are claiming so in various materials. ProPublica has a data reporter, and this data reporter, Ryan Grochowski-Jones, took a hard look at the numbers, finding that the company's claim, Uber's claim, that it had likely prevented 1,800 crashes over the past 2.5 years was a lacking claim. She explains on their podcast that the first red flag was that Uber didn't include a methodology with its report, which is crucial to show how the statistician did the analysis. This is all very intricate stuff. I don't remember a lot about statistical analysis from I did take it and I did pass it. I don't remember a lot about it. It was 13, 15 years ago. But, things like caveats to the data, whether the time of year or the circumstances may impact the results. Uber eventually sent a copy of the methodology, though, to this reporter, and it showed that drunk driving accidents involving drivers under 30 dropped in California after the launch of Uber. The math itself is fine, says the data analyst, but Uber offers no proof that those under 30 and Uber users are the same population. Interesting. Lies, damn lies, and statistics, right? This seems to be one of the famous moments in intro statistics courses where we talk about correlation and causality, according to ProPublica's Steve Engelberg, showcasing how drowning rates are correlated with ice cream sales, but one doesn't cause the other. They're both kind of caused by the same cause. A very interesting topic. Uber, maybe they want to be able to claim they reduce drunk driving. They're having a hard time. Not only was, I think, one of their senior management people caught in a scandal about saying things he shouldn't have said, as far as trailing reporters who reported negatively on Uber and stuff like that. Really uncool stuff as far as some of the management people are concerned in that company. And also, what happens when something bad happens in an Uber ride, or if one of their drivers happens to be a bad person in one way or another, psychopath, sociopath, something like that. Let's see here. What else have I decided I want to talk about? Oh, yes. This was a topic, again, posted by a mentor of mine. I won't name him specifically, but somebody I respect enormously in the world posted this earlier today. Let's see if I can't bring it up and try to share it with you. It's about, oh, I have it here. I've forgotten. It's called Twitter Shame. I saved it specifically because I wanted to spend a lot of time talking about this. I'm going to read from this article. This is from, oh gosh, I'm not going to read the article until I can say where this is from. Let me just look it up here really fast. It is about Twitter shame. It is about somebody making a joke, usually a bad joke, usually an offensive joke of one kind or another, or a statement that's deemed offensive by a group of people, and how the Twitter universe and sort of social media and this very reactionary knee-jerk society we kind of live in now is responsible for people's downfall. They get fired. They are without, they're unable to date. Interestingly, that was an sort of something I did not expect out of this. People's reputations being ruined, sort of having trouble getting a job in that same industry again, I expected. But being seen as undateable or, problematic on the dating scene because of some kind of Twitter scandal or some kind of, I just think that's fascinating. Let me look this up now. Give me another second, if you would. John Ronson is the name of the author. I can give you that. Let's look up John Ronson and see what the article is on Twitter. Ronson, R-O-N-S-O-N, Twitter. Let's see here. I don't want his Twitter, though. Is it The Guardian? No, I think it was like the New York Times or something like that. Where is the news? This is all happening live, unfortunately. Here we go. A New York Times magazine, I believe, has the excerpt from the book coming out by John Ronson. He's releasing a book on this. The book is titled "So You've Been Publicly Shamed." This author has an advanced copy about the book about people who've had their lives ruined from online shaming. Now, is it deserved? That's the question. Is it somebody's livelihood going to be destroyed, and is it a good thing or not because they made some stupid joke or some really offensive joke in many cases? Let me tell you about this. Let's see. The person is named, oh, what is her name? Sacco. S-A-C-C-O is her last name. Jenny Sacco or something like that? Justine Sacco. One tweet, and it's all over, is essentially what's happening here. One of her tweets before the offensive one was, "Weird German dude, you're in first class. It's 2014. Get some deodorant. Inner monologue as I inhale BO. Thank God for pharmaceuticals." That's the tweet. During her Heathrow layover, chili, cucumber sandwiches, bad teeth. I'm back in London. Without the I'm. It just said back in London. This is a Twitter now, right? They kind of speak in a way that is hard to sort of speak verbally. And on December 20th, before her final leg of her trip to Cape Town, going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white. And she chuckled to herself, this article says, as she pressed send, then wandered around Heathrow's international terminal for half an hour, checking her phone. Nobody answered. She wasn't surprised because she has only 170 Twitter followers. I have more than that. I try hard not to be offensive. On the other hand, I have very strong passionate feelings about certain topics. So I feel like it is not, some people think probably it's only a matter of time before I step in a hole that gets, me in trouble in a major public way like this. But anyway, listen to this story. She gave that tweet about not getting AIDS because she's white. She boarded her plane. It was an 11-hour flight, so she slept. When the plane landed in Cape Town and was taxiing on the runway, she turned on her phone. Right away, she got a text from someone she hadn't spoken to since high school. I'm so sorry to see what is happening. Sacco looked at it, but she was baffled. Then another text. You need to call me immediately. It was from her best friend, Hannah. The phone exploded with more texts and alert and alert and alert. And then it rang. It was Hannah. You are the #1 worldwide trend on Twitter right now, her friend told her. That tweet had gone most horribly viral. Quote, in light of Justine Sacco's disgusting racist tweet, I'm donating to @Care today. How did @Justine Sacco get a PR job? Her level of racist ignorance belongs on Fox News. AIDS can affect anyone. And a third tweet, I'm an IAC employee. IAC is the company she worked for. I'm an IAC employee, and I don't want Justine Sacco doing any communications on our behalf ever again, ever. And then one from her employer, IAC, the corporate owner of Daily Beast, OkCupid, and Vimeo. Quote, this is an outrageous, offensive comment. Employee in question, currently unreachable on international flight, unquote. The anger soon turned to excitement. Quote, all I want for Christmas is to see @Justine Sacco's face when her plane lands and she checks her inbox /voicemail, unquote. Another tweet, quote, oh man, comma, @Justine Sacco is going to have the most painful phone turning on moment ever when her plane lands. And finally, quote, we are about to watch this Justine Sacco bitch get fired in real time before she even knows she's getting fired. Can you sense it's not just that was wrong. It's not just disagreement. It's not just anger. How dare you say that? That's very offensive. This is, oh, we're going to get this bitch fired and it's going to be great. You know, it's delight. It's total pure schadenfreude. Not that it's foreign to me. I'm not outraged or surprised by this, but it is sad. And it is, I think, a lesson to everybody just to make, you know, because here's the thing. In the Trekkie chat, I have this Trekkie chat room I hang out in. It's funny. And a lot of those guys, and some of them really revel in this self-badge of honor, this identity they give themselves. I'm politically incorrect. They're very proud of that. I don't think it's good to be overly politically correct. I'm not myself, but there's a line sometimes you don't cross, and that doesn't mean it's really a different line. You know, there's some things that are kind of off limits for everybody. AIDS humor is pretty much off. You don't make jokes about AIDS, people getting AIDS, especially when it's restricted to one race like that in a very stupid way. That's not funny. I've done commentary before on what's funny. I have a working theory that works for what makes something funny. And usually these people who consider they think of themselves as funny. That is sin #1. If you ever break into thinking that you are funny and you're proud of yourself for that, just go jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, kill yourself, and do it today, because it is bad to think of yourself. It is arrogant and haughty and sort of, you know, funny people are too busy being funny, naturally fast with their mind and funny kind of in general people, without thinking of themselves or talking about themselves as funny. It's my theory that only drunk people talk about how sober they are, and only insane people talk about how sane they are. Only crazy people talk about how sane they are. So this is kind of in that same category. I'm going to continue with this article because I really like this article. The furor over that tweet Sacco sent had not just become an ideological crusade against her perceived bigotry, but also a form of idle entertainment. Her complete ignorance of her predicament for those 11 hours lent the episode both dramatic irony and a pleasing narrative act. As Sacco's flight traversed the length of Africa, a hashtag then started to trend worldwide. Hashtag, has Justine landed yet? Seriously, I just want to go home to bed, but everyone is at the bar and is so into has Justine landed yet with the hashtag. Can't look away, can't leave, and right, comma, is there no one in Cape Town going to the airport to tweet her arrival? Come on, Twitter. I'd like pictures. Hashtag, has Justine landed yet? People on Twitter are able to mobilize. I mean, it's part of the reason the crowdsourcing and the, you know, the sort of what am I trying to say? You know, the citizen journalism thing is so popular because they can mobilize faster than any single news agency can. This, by the way, is the sort of the backbone for why there is no media conspiracy to cover up shit regarding the actual doings of 9/11 or any of that stuff, because the media can't see straight half the time. They're buffoons for the most part. They are not able to conspire in that way because they can't get it. They could not possibly get that together. People are like, but cBas, how are you sure? Please, I mean, if you trust anybody on anything, trust that I was doing it for 20 years as a part of the TV and radio news. I talked a lot about my Nancy Grace experiences last night on this little video fiasco. And I'm not necessarily proud of my TV work on the Nancy Grace show, as I was talking about, mostly because it was not, I mean, it was good practice for me, but I felt like I was kind of doing it at the expense of children who were missing or dead, and it was just really awful. Anyway, the Fuhrer had become not just a crusade, but also a form of entertainment, and people were getting really excited. A Twitter user did indeed go to the airport to tweet her arrival. He took her photograph, posted it online. Yup, he wrote, at Justine Sacco has in fact landed at Cape Town International. She's decided to wear sunnies, I think sunglasses, as a disguise. Tens of thousands of tweets had been sent in response to that joke. Her friend Hannah deleted her friend's tweet and then the account fully. Sacco just didn't want to look. She actually had her friend, you know, do it, but it was way too late. Sorry, at Justine Sacco, wrote one Twitter user. Your tweet lives on forever. As Joe said on the news radio sitcom in the late 90s, it's like trying to get pee out of a swimming pool. Getting something off the internet, I found that, this is way before even the age of Twitter, but the concept is the same on the internet, is trying to get pee out of a swimming pool. Removing something from the internet, it's like there ain't no way. This author talks about how he was once a keen shamer in the early days of Twitter. Talks about some guy who kind of bragged a bit about a hunting trip to Tanzania, a safari where he shot a baboon. And it was just extremely callous, especially for, you know, shooting of a primate, you know, which I think a lot of people are probably touchy about. I'm not sure personally if baboons are endangered. I kind of sense they are. And in that way, it's also outrageous that he's shooting maybe an endangered species. I'm not sure of that. But the author of this article alerted social media, and eventually he says he wondered about the recipient of the shaming, the real humans who are the virtual targets of these campaigns. So this article is very long, but it goes on to interview Justine Sacco and other people who have been the subject of the kind of the internet outrage of the day, the Twitter vile fury. We're going to get this motherfucker fired because he said, you know, black people this or white people that, you know. I mean, usually it's a stupid statement. That was absolutely the shittiest joke. And it's the product of somebody who thinks they're funny and trying to, you know, be outrageous in a way, or be hilarious in a way, or be surprising or whatever in a way. Be politically incorrect. Be people wear this badge of honor, like I said, proudly. Even if nobody's really listening. That girl had 157, you know, Twitter followers. It's a drop in a drop in a drop. It's like a molecule in a bucket of the internet content that is out there. For it to have surfaced even for a moment is kind of, I mean, I think it's emblematic of how severe the comment really was and how sort of vile and viciously people took it. I find it fascinating. It is required reading. Go look at that story. It's by John Ronson. Just type in John Ronson, Jon-Ronson, and the story about Twitter shame. It's an unbelievable article. It is the bottom of the hour here on cBas After Dark. I'm trying to make this a bit more structured. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about the software and the program. I'm trying to keep myself from rambling. I'm trying to not use verbal crutches as much as I did last night. I think I said, you know, about 800,000 times. I don't usually air check myself too heavily, especially in the early days of a new project. but that was really bad. I thought it was better than saying, 15 times in a 60-second period, or I didn't really count that, but I would not be surprised. It was bad. Drink of the evening, lemon tea. It's a tea that I have often found is difficult to sometimes find in supermarkets these days. I'm not sure why. For the last couple of years of my time in San Francisco, this Bigelow lemon lift tea, it's one of the simple brands. I don't know why it's so hard to find all of a sudden. Used to be in grocery stores, boxes of just the lemon lift. Now you can get lemon lift if you buy the variety pack, but you get 2 tea bags of it in a 16 tea bag box or whatever it is, for the price of, $4 or something like that, $3.50. So finally, Santa brought me a box, actually 2 boxes of lemon lift tea. And I'm on the last couple of tea bags. But I believe Santa has also shared where Santa shops, so I will be able to locate more. It's just good to be able to have some lovely tea. I like drinking Red Mountain Dew almost exclusively throughout the day. If you cut me open, you will see Red Mountain Dew flowing through my veins. But I do love a cup of tea, especially with honey. It's just so good. It's so good. So yeah, tweet me with your comments, of course. If you happen to be viewing, then God bless you for that. Please send me a note and tell me why. That's a joke from a sports night. If you happen to still be watching us, please drop us a line and tell us why you're still watching us. I think that's really funny. Jupiter Ascending. Let me talk about the movie I saw just for a little bit. It's the new science fiction movie. It stars who? Oh, God. Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis, right? I don't know if I'm saying her name right. The cutie from that 70s show, the little kind of Ashton Kutcher's character's girlfriend on that 70s show, and also the voice of Meg on Family Guy, if I'm not mistaken, but also for many other things. And she's a good actress. And she was great in this movie, I gotta say. As far as her acting was concerned, I give her an A, but this movie was like a B-. A lot of the special effects shots were way too ambitious, and it's like, if I don't really recognize what I'm looking at, strange ship configurations all flying at each other and stuff exploding, I don't know who's on which side, Say what you want about the pacing or whatever of the Star Trek movies. The complaint that the ADHD young crowd gives about the older Star Trek movies that I revere is that there's a pacing problem. It's too slow. And I think that's really funny, because it's like, who the hell are you to question? It's like saying, Mona Lisa is too monochromatic or something. You don't question art. And I feel like in the ways of Star Trek 1, 2, 3, and 4, those first 4 films especially, we're talking about art. And you know what? It is meant to be sort of commented on and observed and ingested and digested based on how it was made by, this was an artistic work. And I feel like to complain about it being too slow, no, your expectations are in the wrong place. It's like going to a country music station and saying, why don't you play more Mozart? You're looking in the wrong category. But anyway, the Star Trek movies, say what you will about them, they have heart, much more than I think the Star Wars movies have. I'm sorry. Maybe that first one. The first 2 or 3 movies, I guess, have enormous heart, and it's hard to really say anything bad about those first 3 Luke Skywalker movies. But I feel like Star Trek is more special. I've said that many times, and we'll talk about it, but let me talk about Jupiter Ascending. I guess my only complaint is those CGI effects sometimes. The story was moderately easy to follow. I mean, when you're setting up in a brand new universe, like I said, these ship configurations, it's ship group A against ship group B, but I don't recognize which ship group is which ship group necessarily yet. I haven't learned which side is which side. Say what you will about Star Trek, you know which side is the Federation and you know which side is the Klingons, and it's not usually difficult to tell. Even Star Wars kind of suffered from that a little bit, in that when you first see those first 2 ships going, I guess you're supposed to know the pointy ship is the Empire and the other ships are the Rebel Alliance. Certainly, an X-Wing fighter versus a TIE fighter, I suppose. But again, if you don't really understand it, for some reason, those are more intuitive, I feel like. Those Star Wars ship fleets suggest themselves as you're looking at them, just visually. You sort of look at it, you feel like, oh, that looks evil. Those look like the bad guys. Or you see these, and no, these look like the good guys. And, the the fast editing with the people, the occupants of the ships helps as well. And I think they even have different color, right? The Rebel Alliance lasers are green and the Empire's lasers are red or something like that. I'm not sure if that's fully true, but Jupiter Ascending, the girl's name is Jupiter, and Channing Tatum plays this kind of guy with Vulcan ears. I'm not going to spoil it because frankly, I don't remember enough about it to sort of spoil it. It was rather complicated, and I was not necessarily expecting to have gone to see a movie, so I wasn't really trying to make notes for reviewing it. Compared to The Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the only recent movie I've seen that was absolutely goddamn A+. That was a spectacular movie, and it held my interest far more than I expected it to, because it's a good science fiction movie, you know what I'm saying? It's weird. I'm sorry to interrupt the movie talk, but I keep seeing viewers come and go, and I'm like, how interesting. People are actually tuning in and then finding I'm boring and tuning out. But I'm going to keep going. The Jupiter Ascending movie, compared to the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I would say it's a B- C+ effort. Like, it looked like it was very expensive. The CGI looked okay. My problem with CGI, as it always has been, is that if it looks like I'm looking at a cartoon, then that's not what I'm supposed to be looking at. Anyway, that's really all I had to talk about. How very funny that I've run out of my things to talk about, although there were some things I did not finish talking about last night. Let's go back to my list here. It's a courtesy thing. I could talk about that again for a minute. Please have a point when you're talking to people. Please don't be boring. Please have a sense of measuring whether or not people are interested in what you are saying. If not, please truncate your comments and move on. Or at least check in with the person who's your audience and try to see if they're with you at all. It's worth looking at. It really is. There's an article about Fox News making people stupid, and there actually was a little bit of science behind it, I felt like, but I don't have it at my fingertips here. If you'll give me a moment, I will look it up, because I meant to talk about it last night, and I failed to. And now I'm going to talk about it tonight, because I can just look it up live. There's no viewers. I don't really care. And if you're watching on tape, you can fast forward a few moments and, get to where I've actually found it. My tablet is a bit slow, however. Fox News viewers stupid. It's actually a suggestion on Google. You just type in Fox News, and one of the things that comes up is viewer stupid. This is from alternet.org, also published, however, on rollingstone.org. Now, Rolling Stone has been criticized for its journalistic integrity recently, as far as that one rape story. And I forget which university, but that one rape story at the university involving the fraternity guys that turned out to not be factual in many ways. So you have to kind of consider the source, but this is actually seems to be pretty solid. The World Public Opinion, which is a project managed by the Program on International Policy Attitudes at the University of Maryland, conducted a survey of American voters showing Fox News viewers are significantly more misinformed than consumers of news of other sources. What's more, the study shows greater exposure to Fox News increases misinformation. So the more you watch, the less you know, according to this Mark Howard of the alternet.org website. To be precise, the more you think you know is actually the more you think you know that is actually false. This story corroborates a previous study by PIPA that focused on the Iraq War, had similar results. An NBC Wall Street Journal poll demonstrated the break with reality on the part of Fox News viewers with regard to healthcare. The body of evidence is that Fox News is nothing but a propaganda machine dedicated to lies growing by the day. I don't think MSNBC is better. I want to be fair in saying they're all shit. As far as the cable news channels, for the most part, it's not really a good effort most of the time. CNN tries, but their buffoonery gets in their way. In 8 of the 9 questions below, Fox News placed first in the percentage of those who were misinformed. They placed second in the question on TARP. It's a pretty high batting average for journalistic fraud. 91% believe the stimulus legislation lost jobs. It's not true. 72% believe the health reform law will increase the deficit. 72% believe the economy is getting worse. It's not. 60% believe climate change is not occurring. It's more or less a consensus has been achieved, 49% believe income taxes have gone up. 63% believe the stimulus legislation did not include any tax cuts. 56% think Obama initiated the GM Chrysler bailout. It was W. It was Bush, the mental defective. 38% think that most Republicans opposed TARP, and 63% believe Obama was not born in the U.S. or think it's unclear. That's what I'm talking about. That, how are you so sure, cBas? It's like, if the people who say that, you can't even have a rational discussion with them because their bar, their sort of filter is skewed. Their lenses are clouded. They're not seeing clearly. This is a rather partisanly written piece, but it does seem to suggest that Fox News is deliberately misinforming its viewers and doing so for a reason. I don't know if there's a reason. I think it's more buffoonery and idiocy than anything else. This writer says every issue is one in which the Republican Party had a vested interest. The GOP benefited from the ignorance that Fox News helped proliferate. I think they mean perpetuate, but maybe proliferate's okay. The results were apparent in the election last month as voters based their decisions on demonstrably false information fed to them by Fox News. This is back in 2010, by the way. Always check the date on articles that you're reading. Not that that invalidates or even makes this any less interesting, but I knew it wasn't new. I knew this was not a recent article, but I do think that, it's not an isolated review of Fox's performance. This has been corroborated repeatedly, according to this author. And CNN and the broadcast network news operations were only marginally better in many cases as well. So the viewers, in a lot of cases, are just not informed. And I think that's fascinating. We will look at that survey in an upcoming thing, but I wanted to talk about that article because I love the headline, Fox News makes you stupid. Because the people that view Fox News seem to treat it as though it's an information source. And again, it's not universally shit. There are good people who do good work in some cases. They try their hardest within a very rigged machine. Corporate news is what corporate news is. That's why I've never really worked in a corporate news, network environment. I've always stuck to being extremely relevant and extremely local. That is how I feel like I'm doing something that is respectable in the world. I'm sorry. I'm not an Inside Edition reporter. I'm not an Entertainment Tonight reporter. I've worked for stations that were Fox News affiliates. None of them were ever owned by Fox. People also confuse that. Let's talk about that for a second. Affiliation versus ownership. I'm in Tucson, Arizona right now. Channel 4, NBC affiliate, but not owned by NBC. Fox 11 here, just like Fox 11 in LA. Fox 11 in LA, I believe, is owned and operated by Fox Corporation, News Corp. But I don't believe Fox 11 is owned by, in fact, I know for a fact Fox 11 in Tucson is owned by a company called Belo, which is like a broadcasting group, But Fox 11 in LA is I'm almost positive. I could look that up. Fox 11, which is what? Oh, I don't even know if I remember the call letters. Is it? It's not K-Fox, can't be. But I can just type in Fox 11 and look that up. The lovely Google. Do you love Google as much as I do? God, to be able to just look stuff up. Fox 11. So, what does that mean, I guess, is what I should talk about. Not Fox 11 Tucson, but Fox 11 Los Angeles. KTTV are the call letters. They may or may not be owned by Fox, actually. And again, to be owned by Fox does not guarantee that you are going to be subject to all of it. It's probably more likely that you will. But I believe I know a lot of people who are good reporters who are employed by Fox O&O stations in some cases that do produce good local news stories on a daily basis. They try their hardest. And just so happens, maybe the station, like in the case of the Fox station in San Francisco, which was a Fox affiliate for years, ever since there were Fox stations, its newscast was kind of the gold standard and was the #1 primetime newscast in the country, just, completely unrelated to its affiliation with Fox News, because it scrubbed the Fox News logo, off of this stuff. The station has a reputation for spectacular, in-depth reporting and being really connected with its viewers and the issues related to San Francisco. It was thoroughly balanced and properly so, journalistic integrity through your ears. It was so good. And you could just tell on a nightly basis, these were people who were good at their job, professional, not bullshitting around, not beholden to corporate interests. They were doing a really good product. It was not the network nightly news, which kind of does have that corporate taste to it. Now, I observe my parents watching this corporate news on the nightly news basis, and they eat it up. It's very good for them. They seem to like it. I don't like, Bill Maher was complaining about the one-legged, what was it? The one-legged jumper or something like that. The one-legged athlete, ice skater or something like that. The inspirational one-legged basketball player or something like that. The inspirational story of the dog that finds a home, kind of a thing. Bill Maher was talking about the fluff of news, the feel-good stories. And I think that is a valid criticism. I don't like the feel-good, it's the modern reality of broadcast news for the most part. But I always felt like a feature story, which is technically, in a journalistic sense, what those really are. Those are kind of feature stories. Human interest became the later euphemism for it, and now I don't even know. But there's nothing wrong with it once in a while. But is it really news? Is it something viewers need to know? Is it really a focused effort, trying their hardest in earnest every day to produce something of value for viewers to, hear about, learn about, and make an informed decision? I feel like that's why broadcasters are a class above podcasters. Online streaming is not the same as broadcasting to an audience of a network audience of millions on broadcast television, or cablecast television, whatever it is. Although, these days kids cannot tell the difference themselves between a network like MTV, which is strictly on cable and not on a broadcast station anywhere, and a network like NBC, which is broadcast over airwaves and received by many people without cable all the time, constantly. To not even comprehend the difference between broadcast stations and cable only stations blows my mind. But these days it doesn't matter to kids because it's all just streaming content. It's all just content. That's what they tried to tell us back in the radio station days. And to be, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I will say that I was ahead of this game. I always said and salespeople were blown away when I said this. Some of them were even offended. I would say, we're not, for not much longer anyway, radio stations with websites. We are websites that happen to have radio stations, attached to us, and a radio station identity and a broadcast outlet in addition to our web outlet. But it's not, the audience numbers to this day are still not there. It is not true that we have more listeners online than we have on the air. It's just not. You have an enormous amount of people who listen on the actual broadcast radio. People who say AM radio is dead are mistaken. 93% of the audience from broadcast radio from, 5 years ago, I think it was, are still around. People in their cars, people who understand that there is a spectrum of media out there. And thanks to AM stations and FM stations, broadcast stations just streaming online, now I can listen on my phone, or I can listen on my tablet, or I can listen, in my car on the satellite radio. That's another way people sometimes get content, but I think sometimes satellite radio users have a tendency to overestimate the amount of people listening. Mitch Hedberg had a great joke. God, I missed Mitch Hedberg. He had a great joke about XM. He's like, he went on X, he appeared on XM, and the person working there said, "Hey, you can swear on XM. It's okay. It's legal. You can say swear words." He's like, "Yeah, it's because no one can fucking hear it." He's like, you can swear in the woods too. I thought that was a really brilliant, sort of putting kind of Sirius XM in its place. But the question was, is Fox 11 LA KTTV owned and operated by Fox Broadcasting, that is to say, News Corporation? The website usually will say, all content copyright Fox television stations, all rights reserved. I mean, and that's sort of an indication that it's their O and O, but I don't know. Really, it doesn't really say if they are who they're owned by. Is there an about? I would just like to push about. Who are we? Terms of service, blah, blah, blah. There isn't an about. Well, I'll research that. I guess I could just look up KTTV on Google and sort of read the Wikipedia article about it. Let's look it up. KTTV. I'm curious who owns. KTTV is a Fox-owned and operated television station in Los Angeles, California. There you have it. So it is a perfect example. It's even on the same channel in the local relative respective areas. Channel 11 in Tucson is broadcasting in Tucson, owned by Belo, but plays the Fox broadcast network programs. I think of 90210, which is not on TV anymore. But that's how old I am. Is 90210 was kind of when Fox was brand new. Married with Children, Cops, The Simpsons, when they were all brand new, 89, 90, something like that. I had a television in my room, a black and white TV, about yay big, like a little 3-inch black and white TV that just barely picked up the Fox affiliate. But that was also the station that played, yes, say it with me, Star Trek: The Next Generation. I have great memories of tuning in on a TV, like a little handheld TV or a little TV that you could watch in your room. I love broadcasting. I love picking up signals with antennas and sort of, just scanning the dial and seeing what's going on out there. And that's why I'm driven to create this monstrosity, this pathetic attempt to just talk. But hey, I got a little creative outlet stuff going on. And oh, by the way, in case you happen to be watching this late, God bless you again, if there's a God, which I don't believe there is, but I still say it. I like how it sounds. God bless you. Bless your heart, for watching. But if you happen to be watching this, you're probably a subscriber, and you're already aware that the latest cBas and Sebastian and Cerebel podcast is out. This week we're talking about, what is it we're talking about? We're talking about the Nugget Wars. We're talking about the Breakfast Food Wars. We do our top 5 side dishes from fast food, and we talk about the place where there was a 2.5-hour line at Kentucky Fried Chicken. KFC, 2.5-hour wait. Just unbelievable. All right. What else can I talk about? I guess I'm going to experiment in these last few minutes with the sort of, I don't know, the different tools there are here. Showcase. I don't know what Showcase does. I would like to sort of try and pull up the broadcast on my tablet so I can actually see what it is I'm doing. So let me do that. This is just sort of a free-form experiment, which is why I'm feeling free to sort of not, I'm very passionate about broadcast, being good at what you do. And if you're a broadcaster and, this is not broadcasting camp, to put it the Aaron Sorkin way, it is not important that all the people get a chance to play. You better kick ass or move out of the way for people who do kick ass. And it does look like I'm going to be able to watch this broadcast right here on my tablet. Oh, look, there I am talking away. Isn't that interesting? And you can see the, you can actually see the bug in the corner, which is right here. Yes. So I need to sort of do some figuring out of exactly what be. Oh, okay, here we go. Be part of the conversation. Click here to join the audience for this Hangout on Air. And then it takes me to a website, which is a Google Plus website. I'm just seeing how there's probably not a lot you'll be interested in as far as content goes, but if you're interested in how these Google Hangouts work, This might be interesting to you. I don't know if these dogs are going to keep barking or what's going to happen. I think it is fascinating, though. I'm going to have to go. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll talk more in 24 hours from now. As of now, it is time to go. Have a great Thursday night. Have a great Friday. And we'll bring you more random content on cBas After Dark.